the expectations for the Chargers this year, Brinson? The Chargers going to charge?
Heartbreak.
Yeah.
A crippling and debilitating heartbreak, I believe, is the answer we're looking for.
Is Joey Bosa going to stay healthy? Because I feel like every year.
Probably not. Joey Bosa missed. He missed. I was saying this about Joey Bosa. I love Joey Bosa.
Yeah,
I'm a Bosa guy. Yeah, but like Joey Bosa is willing to, I think this is smart, to be patient with injuries and to make sure that his long-term health is a priority. I mean, he was that way when he was coming into the season. Like he was a little banged up, or coming into his rookie year, but he was a little banged up and was, contractual stuff, and still won rookie of the year, or defensive rookie of the year. So not a huge deal. Derwin James, look, the Chargers don't stay healthy. Okay. They just don't. And if the Chargers are going to be really good, they need Keenan Allen, and Mike Williams to stay healthy and to play 14 games apiece minimum. They need Joey Bosa and Derwin James to stay healthy and play 14 games apiece minimum. Like, that's what has to happen for the Chargers to make a playoff run, is those four. Because we're assuming Justin Herbert plays 17 games, right? Or 16 games, how many ever he needs to get a full season. If Justin Herbert if he misses time, it's over. But those four guys to me are the key. If you wanted to, you could absolutely throw in Rashawn Slater. You saw last year they were able to manage without him in the starting lineup, but like, he makes a world of difference. And then Austin Eckler too. Like, they have so many pieces. It is so easy to talk about the Chargers and talk about this roster and to think about the upside of what the Chargers could be if Kellen Moore comes in and Justin Herbert clicks, and how good they can be. And then it's just so easy to be like,
well, and to Brinson's point, and you're naming all these amazing skill players. We'll talk about Bosa and their defense. So if you're talking specifically about what the expectations should be for this team, I think it has to be at least one playoff win. The last time we saw them on the field, they were blowing a 27-0 to lead to Jacksonville. What? That's not fireable.
If only somebody called that midway through the game.
Right. I mean, if this team doesn't get at least to the playoffs, I think Brandon Staley's got to be on the hot seat. Maybe you think about moving on from him if they completely miss the playoffs. If they get to the playoffs and say they're favored by a touchdown and don't win the game, again, I think you have to, has Staley reached his ceiling in 2 seasons? So I think that if you're Brandon Staley, you don't feel comfortable if you don't win a playoff game this season. The Chargers have a lot of talent. And I think that the front office has to want to see this team get to the divisional round, which they have only done once since 2014. So I think the expectations, if you're a Chargers fan, should be at minimum the divisional round of the playoffs.
There's also this little lingering thing that isn't really being talked about, but that to me could end up mattering somewhat, is if the Broncos are really good and Sean Payton is the reason, and the Chargers – and everybody knows that Sean Payton wanted that job, but because Tom Telesco knew that his job might be in jeopardy if he brought Sean Payton in, didn't want to move on from his guy, Brandon Staley. That's just how this works in the NFL, right? There's always a little bit of power shifting, Game of Thrones style stuff. Tom Telesco, I mean, look, let's be real here. Sean Payton is a better bet as a head coach than Brandon Staley at this point of their careers. I feel safe saying that. Tom Telesco was more likely to put the Chargers in a position to win a championship if he convinced the Spanish family to go out and pay Sean Payton whatever it is he wanted to be the head coach of the Chargers. However, Tom Telesco was also more likely to lose his job in the short and long term because of Sean Payton, because Sean Payton will want his own GM with Sean Payton's success. I could also lose it if Brandon Staley stinks. So it's a weird sort of dynamic there. But if the Broncos are really good and the Chargers miss, and it maybe knock the Chargers out of the playoffs, or the Chargers miss the playoffs entirely, like, that is going to weigh onto that as well, because they could have certainly had Sean Payton, unless you think that was complete BS and smoke, which I do not.
Yeah, and I agree with that, Brinson.
Yeah, agree. But what about this 9.5 win total? It's pretty high. You guys are both talking about divisional rounds of the playoffs. Over is -125, under plus money +105.
Yeah, the Brinson model has the Chargers going 8-9. I don't feel great about it. Like, I think that, they opened up against Miami, at Tennessee, at Minnesota, and then Vegas at home. But they could be 4-0 to start the season very easily. I had them even going 3-1 there. I had them losing their last 4 games: at Vegas, Buffalo at home, which is going to be a Bills bonanza in Los Angeles. Bills fans will pack that place. At Denver, and then Kansas City at home. Like, I mean, dude, their schedule. Here's their post-bye schedule. Here's the post-bye schedule. And it's a lot of games because their buys in week 5, which is very early for the Chargers and problematic. Dallas at home. That place will be a Cowboys game. That is a Cowboys game. It's a Cowboys home game.
100%.
At Kansas City. Right.
At Kansas City on a short week.
Yes.
Because they play Monday against the Cowboys.
Good luck with that. The Bears at home. I had them penciled in for a win there. At the Jets following a Bears game. The Lions at home. So tough matchups here. At Green Bay, which is just a difficult place to play. A total wild card. We don't know whether the Packers will be any good or not. Baltimore at home will be a Ravens-friendly crowd. Then at New England. I mean, they are bouncing back and forth like left and right from West Coast to East Coast. Denver at home. At Las Vegas, Buffalo, at Denver, Kansas City at home. It's a really, really tough run for the Chargers. I think they absolutely have to start 3-1 or 4-0 if they want a reasonable chance of making the playoffs in a very difficult AFC.
Well, yeah, to make the playoffs, books already favoring no there at -115. Yes.
Really?
-105. So
really?
Doesn't feel like there's a lot of yes.
That's a weird combination of 9.5 and
but the under is +105. So yeah, it is a weird combination, but the books are leaning towards no on both.
That's so they're saying I think what they're saying is they think the Chargers could go 10-7 and miss the playoffs.
Wait, what's the yes on playoffs?
-105.
They just don't know that. That's weird. You should bet.
So what would you? Yeah. So how would you bet that?
I would bet the.
You would bet the over and the no.
No. I think you could bet the. You either want to bet if you're bullish on the Chargers, you either want to bet obviously the over or yes to make the playoffs. I think you bet the over, knowing that there's a chance they could miss the playoffs at 10-7. Because that would be tough if you bet yes playoffs and they went 10-7 and didn't make the playoffs. Right, Breech?
Yeah. I mean, that is a risk you take in the loaded conference where that might not be good enough to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, and worth noting, Jimmy Garoppolo did have foot surgery. Probably not going to be ready for training camp. Like that just, that's just one of those where, well, and see, this is another interesting quirk too for the Chargers is that I was looking at the wrong team. I was trying to figure out what the hell was going on.
Oh, you mean that'll help them in the division? Yeah.
Yeah, they get the Chargers at home in week 4. So I mean, like they will get.
But that means maybe Vegas doesn't start off that good. That helps their. Yeah, I see what you're saying.